This is Office Talk with Annette Stepanian. Well, hello there. This is Annette, and I hope you're having a fantastic week. And I got a question from Monique, and that kind of rhymes. That wasn't planned. And the question is, I have a slogan that I intend to register as a trademark, but I haven't done so yet. What is the difference between all those symbols? The R with the circle, the TM, the SM, and the C with the circle. And should I use it for my slogan? Awesome question, Monique. And there's a simple answer. First off, to be clear, trademarks protect the expression used to identify and distinguish a product or service in the marketplace. So these are things like your names, your logos, your slogans, and other commercial signifiers. Without knowing what your slogan is, it sounds like that you might be filing a trademark because it is a slogan and it's probably used in connection with certain goods or services that you're providing in the marketplace. Now for the registration symbol, the R with a circle around it, that relates to trademarks, and there are specific rules about when you can use them in connection with a trademark. You can only use them after the mark has been registered by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. You can't use them during the application process, while you're waiting for your trademark, or if you're intending to register a trademark. They can only be used in connection with the goods and services listed in your federal registration application. So you may not know this, but when you file for a federal trademark, you have to select the category of goods or services in which that mark relates. So let's say your slogan is being used in the connection with, let's say, shoes and apparel, and you apply to use that mark in connection with goods and apparel, and you get granted that trademark, you can only use it in relation to those goods or services. Next, you may only use it while the registration is still alive. So if the registration expires, you can't use the registration symbol anymore. Now, there are no specific requirements on where the symbol should be placed relative to the mark, but most people use it in the upper right-hand corner of the mark. So for example, you'll see Apple computers, and then the registration mark is kind of hanging up in the top right-hand corner. Next, the other symbols, the TM and SM symbols. If you're claiming rights to use a mark, you may use the TM trademark or SM service mark symbol to notify the public to your claim of a common law mark. Two things here. First of all, the difference between a trademark and a service mark are really depending on if your mark is associated with a good or if it's associated with a service. So if your mark is associated with a good, you'll use the trademark, which is the TM symbol. Or if your mark is associated with a service, you will use the SM symbol. So you might be asking, what is a common law mark? So technically, federal registration is not required to establish trademark rights. When we say a common law mark, that refers to the rights that arise from the actual use of a trademark without federal registration. The general principle is that whoever first uses a trademark in commerce has the ultimate right to use that trademark in that way. However, there are many benefits in having a federal trademark registered, so it's not always the best idea to just rely on a common law mark. So to recap, no registration is necessary to use a trademark or a service mark symbol, and you can continue to use these symbols even if the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office refuses to register your mark. Now, Monique, it sounds like if you're going to be using the slogan in the context of certain goods or services that you're going to be claiming as a trademark, until you receive a federal registration of the mark from the USPTO, go ahead and use either the TM or SM symbol depending on if your slogan is being used in connection with a good or service. You also asked about the C symbol in the circle. Now, that's used in the context of copyrights. Copyrights are different than trademarks. Copyrights protect authors of published or unpublished original works of authorship, and the work that you're seeking to protect under copyright law falls under certain categories, including literary works, musical works, dramatic works, photographs, designs, etc. Usually slogans, names, short phrases are not eligible for copyright. Since you indicated that what you want to protect is a slogan, it sounds like it's going to fall under trademark law and not copyright law. But to answer your question, that C in the circle is what's called a notice of copyright that we often see. So you have the symbol, the first date of publication of that work, and the owner of the work. So, although you're not required to put a notice of copyright on your copyrighted works, it is helpful because it puts people on notice that you're claiming a copyright to the work. And if somebody infringes on your copyright, it makes it more difficult for them to claim innocent infringement. In other words, it's hard for them to say, hey, I didn't know that this was copyrighted because there's a copyright notice on the work. And where do you place this notice? It should be placed such that it gives reasonable notice of the claim of copyright. Now, let's say if you're publishing a book, you can put that on the front cover or the inside cover, somewhere where it's easy to discern. Now, if you're seeking to register a copyright for a work and you're not sure where to put the notice, the Copyright Office's website has a publication that will outline for you the appropriate place to put a notice depending on the type of work you're seeking to get registered for a copyright. Well, Monique, that's it. I hope that answered your question. If you've been enjoying these office talks and want to learn more about law and business, I want to introduce you to a new online resource coming soon. It's the Creatives Law Library. In the library, you'll find resources about topics like getting your business up and running, creating your contracts, protecting your content, hiring, and much more. If you'd like to learn more about the Creatives Law Library, check out AnnetteStepanian.com. So that's it for today's episode. If you have additional questions, or if you have a question about law or business that you'd like me to address in a future office talk, submit your question over at AnnetteStepanian.com/Q&A. And I'll see you in the next office talk.